All right. Well, we are back with another podcast here, and I got quite a clan. We got the Vortex gang in camp here this week for some turkey action, and we've had a lot of fun so far.
It's been a blast.
The motley crew of turkey hunting.
Yeah.
We had a good day.
I would say motley crew is an understatement.
Yeah.
He did bring the beauty.
Yeah.
That's right.
The quality. we got Maggie over here. We got Graham, and we got Erik. And of course, this is one of the few podcasts that you've seen or listened to that actually have my wife in it. So we're gonna get her opinion. I don't know if that's such a good one or not.
You better buckle up for that one,
Yeah.
Pat.
Yeah.
Man, we appreciate you guys coming up this week. It's been great so far, and we thought we'd just kind of cap it off with a kick butt podcast here.
Heck yeah.
Love
well,
it.
thank you guys for having us. This has been, like you said, a blast of a couple days so
Yeah.
far. And
All right.
it's been fun to recap it.
We got lots of stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about turkey hunting. We're going to talk about optics. We'll talk about all kinds of stuff. We'll talk about stuff that you maybe don't want to talk about.
Ooh, that's
like
what that
that.
list was.
Yeah, yeah.
The stuff that stood out that we shouldn't talk about is probably what we're going to talk about now.
Oh,
We're ready.
that's right. Well, you know, this is not your first time up here, Graham. You were here last year
Yep.
for slamming a turkey. You didn't spend a lot of time out there, but
Graham's
we got her
Pretty
done.
quick.
Yeah, Graham's Make-A-Wish hunt last year.
Yeah. It went so well that you invited your friends along, which we
Yeah.
actually extended the invite and said, hey, why don't you bring more people from Vortex up? So
Yeah.
it's good to
Yep.
see you guys. man.
Definitely.
Glad it worked out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I'm glad you came, Maggie.
I
And
can't
I'm
thank
glad
you
you
guys
came.
enough.
Thank you, Pat. Yep.
But yeah, it didn't take them long. I kept sending them pictures and trail cam pics of gobblers, strutting in
You
front
were
of the
teasing us
cameras.
for a couple weeks there. We were getting
Yeah.
fired up about it.
Yeah.
I will say after the morning hunt, I said Maggie's going to really think my husband really stinks at turkey hunting.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
no!
she-
got
should've
in
seen what she
there,
was saying.
got in there a little late. May have bumped the bird that they roosted the night before. Then we went to another spot. We bumped 2 more gobblers. I'm like, you're off to a really great start, honey.
Yeah.
Is it turkey
All right,
day?
well, you're done with the podcast, so you can leave now. We got enough opinion
Thanks for
out of
coming,
you.
Nicole.
Yeah. What you guys don't know is you guys have earned the nickname of Roost Busters between our internal
Oh,
group
our,
chat.
Our little group.
Yeah.
spot, huh?
Yep. The Roost
That's
Busters
exactly
bumped
what-
another one.
Man, it was it was an insane hunt. Obviously, we'll spill the beans, give all our secrets away, but we had a triple yesterday, and we got her done. Actually, in the afternoon. I mean, talk about rare odds, man.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Well, especially, when you hear about a lot of people tripling up there all together, but just how we all went our separate ways and
Yeah.
all
I
within
think
a
that's the
relatively
key.
short span, kind of all got on birds
Yeah.
in about the same time frame.
Between like 4 o'clock and 5:30 on 3 different properties, 3 dead turkeys, all 3 totally different ways. Like that's pretty cool.
On film, too.
Yeah. Yep.
That's insane. Well,
Well, Eric,
some of us had to work harder than others.
that would be
Right,
us.
Meg?
We put
Yeah.
our butt time in.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're on one of our honey holes, and I wanted Maggie to get a bird before both of you. And it
Rightfully
didn't
so.
quite
Rightfully
work that
so.
way.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
didn't read the script, but
As they often don't.
right.
Yeah.
And we're set up right away. We had roosted when you guys got here first night. We went out and we roosted that bird at Maggie's spot, and we're like, all right, we're ready to go in the morning, and it's gonna be awesome because we know right where the bird is. So blind was all kind of built and ready to go, and we got in a little bit late. So late that
How did that happen?
I was
by
gonna
the
say,
way,
while we're on the
we're very
podcast,
curious.
why were you guys
yeah,
late?
yeah.
Like-
What led
Was
to
it
you
me?
guys?
I don't think I need to explain to you. But you're married, so
Yeah. Next question.
I was just
Moving
in,
on.
I was inside waiting for them to come in, but they were over in the gear side.
Right, yeah.
yeah, I was.
I think
I
the
was-
last thing the last thing you said before Graham and I left was, "Where's Maggie?"
I had no idea anyone was out there.
We
won't
were
blame
waiting
it on
for her.
Maggie.
She was waiting for us. So I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
Miscommunication
That's
is all.
right.
Yeah,
That's
yep.
all.
That's right. It all panned
chalk
out.
it
I
up to
mean,
that, yeah.
who wants to shoot a turkey and tag out right away in the morning
So
anyways,
it's a much
right?
better story the way it worked. Yeah.
We were like 20
Present.
seconds late, okay?
No, we get in there and it's was clear out, so it was getting light fast. It was like
It did
way
get
too
light super
fast.
fast.
It was the sun's
So
fault.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
we're sticking I'm putting the decoys out. The girls are getting set up side by side out in the wide open pretty much, and we're just have them kind of sitting by this birdhouse and just to get some cool footage, force perspective, and then Luke and I were back in the blind, we're running the cameras, and so we're filming them, kind of setting up and getting the decoy set up, and it's getting lighter and lighter, and the turkeys are gobbling around, and the gobbler that we had roosted, he had gobbled a couple times, so
Was he pretty close? Because he was like a ways off the night before.
I thought he was over the edge a little bit. And I
that's
thought
what
he'd
I would've
fly
thought.
down in the woods and I'd take him a little bit to come up into the field. Instead, I don't know if he flew uphill and then into the field, but
So he
all
was
of a sudden,
gobbling pretty close to the
He
field.
was in the field
Oh, dang.
a little bit before I was in the blind. And he saw us. I kind of looked back at the girls just to verify, hey, you good? And I looked, and beyond them is the bird looking at me, and there he takes off running and flying.
No way.
He flew, and when he flew away, I'm like,
He must have pitched down early.
Yeah, yeah.
he did.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy.
It's his fault.
So that was how our morning started.
Yeah.
We sat there anyways, and we worked a couple other birds, but they were further away, and
Right.
they kind of closed the distance a little bit, but they didn't come all the way. And we had 2 jakes and some hens in front of us, which was cool.
Yep.
And then we tried to do a little float calling, and we busted a couple others in the process. It was just like, oh.
It wasn't
It wasn't going our way in the morning.
Yeah, I was
So we
like-
could have slept in, Nicole.
Yes,
Is what I'm
thank
learning
you.
from
Yes,
this.
Maggie.
I'm thinking Vortex is dropping us.
Yeah. Yep.
This is it. This is the end of the sponsorship.
is how
It's
it
like a
goes.
common theme this year, though. Afternoon hunting has been
Yeah.
like really good,
Yeah.
and I'm
You
like,
can
I
get into
like
them at
that.
that time, yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna have to rethink these like early morning wake up calls in the spring.
Yeah.
But it was funny.
That's my wife. She's all
Yeah.
about the afternoon hunting.
The more experienced hunters were like all disappointed, you guys, that it didn't work out, and I'm still just there's still a chance, and I'm hiking through the woods like we're
Yeah,
doing
Maggie
great.
was charged up.
We're hearing birds. This
Yeah.
is good.
Right. We were in them.
Like with little to no sleep. You guys, I was impressed. You guys did awesome out there yesterday, and with little to no sleep, you're still awake.
Yeah.
I found out later it's because you got a Monster and
Yeah.
energy drink. to put you
Celsius
over the
Energy
top.
Drinks, please sponsor us if you're listening.
Pina colada.
Yeah, specifically the pina colada.
Just one flavor,
Shameless
please.
plug.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, that's
special.
awesome.
Yeah.
But it did. It kickstarted you.
Oh my
You're
gosh.
a totally different man
Yeah,
after that.
Absolutely.
He's buzzing around there like a bee, just
Yeah.
bouncing
Yep.
around.
Little Bumblebee Rick.
Grilling stuff.
Yeah. 40 minutes earlier, I was falling asleep in the front seat of Carson's truck. Like, just can't even keep my eyes open. Stopped at Quick Trip, got the energy drink, and
was that.
within an hour, we were in a totally different headspace.
Not Nicole. So if you're watching the video section, we're going to put a clip in there of Nicole hard at it. She is ultra driven. And when you see the video, you'll understand. She's laid out flat, snoring.
Here's the
Maggie's
funniest
looking
part.
for turkeys.
Well, here's the funniest part. Maggie goes, "Oh, you look like an angel." I go, "Wait till I open my mouth and start snoring."
It's so peaceful and like these pine branches, and you were just the sun was
The
on.
sun
you.
was on. It was like after you get up early and that
Yeah.
sun.
That
just,
sun
like,
hits you,
Oh.
and it just
Yeah.
feels amazing.
We
Yeah.
had a
Feels right.
similar ordeal for our group.
much less majestic than
Yeah,
probably
yeah. All of
what
us
you guys
Sleeping
saw.
over there too, wasn't there?
Well,
We
we
got
were resting our eyes, Pat.
Yeah, we got set up at like 10. We were going to give it an hour, like 10:15 to 11, I think we were going to give it, like 45 minutes-ish, and finally get everything set up. Everyone like is tucked in, brushed in, whatever. And I think within the first minute, I looked and Cole was already horizontal, like on the ground. Tripod set up, Cole's laying.
Here's your sign when your cameraman's
yeah.
laying on the ground.
Yeah,
and-
and then I'm like looking out into the field and I just watch Graham's gun barrel kind of like slide off his leg and I look at him and he's like just waking up. Yeah, everyone was asleep. There's
I woke up at I think 10:53 is when I looked at my phone
Yeah.
and I'm like, how long have we been here? Like
53
an hour.
minutes exactly. Yeah.
That's when I wish I was there, kind of sneaking up behind you with like this audio recording of a loud gobble. Just
Yeah.
hit it. Just,
Yeah.
I don't know if it would have done anything.
Yeah. You probably couldn't have heard it over the heavy breathing and snoring that was happening.
I think it also kind of alludes to how our day had gone to that point where
Yeah.
we were comfortable enough sleeping. We're like, they're
It's
not
gonna
coming in
happen.
either way.
Yeah, we don't have anything to worry
Yeah,
about.
it's the afternoon.
Yeah.
Turkeys are resting,
Yeah.
so are we.
But we felt good about like, hey, at least we're out there, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still in the chips.
Wow, I was after it harder than you guys.
You were.
No naps.
Yeah.
I did a lot of
Absolutely.
snacking, but
Yeah.
no naps.
We did
At
have
one point, I
snacking.
had to tell Maggie, "Hey, do you
Put the
want to put
snacks
the chip
away."
bag away for a little bit here?"
It was
That's all
sesame
I'm hearing
sticks,
in my
thank you, not
headphones, and
chips.
Just, they were like two little pine squirrels over there. Just
Why do
chew
you?
away.
I mean, why do you think we go out there for the snacks?
Yeah.
It's
They were
not,
exactly.
You
Mom,
know?
I'm about 10 yards away. I finally had to get out of the blind and say, "Are you gonna just share these things?"
You fell out of the blind.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that wasn't on camera. Trip and
At
there
one
down
point
he
they go,
goes.
"Are you sleeping in there?" I'm watching for turkeys.
Yeah.
What are we
Yeah.
doing here?
What are you doing?
I don't know if I deserved a turkey yesterday. We did. I snacked. I told you my whole life story. We were having a great time.
Yeah.
And then
They
there
were
was a
bonding.
gobble, and we
That's
just
fun.
face
good.
masked.
I'm like, "Hey, pay attention."
And
All
then
right,
when,
guys?
so like he would call every once in a while, and finally we heard a bird. We all looked at each other. Was that a gobble? Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Like
They're real.
the mad scramble.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I gotta confess. I was sitting in the blind and texting back and forth, and at first I got this text. I'm like, "Oh, they killed." So I tell the girls they killed. And then Carson texted me back, "No, we didn't kill." I don't understand, So we had this miscommunication. Somebody killed. So then I'm bumming. I'm like, "Gotta be kidding me! Nobody's gonna kill on the first day. This is gonna be bad. This is gonna be really bad." So I'm like, for sure, we're not going to be sponsored next year by Vortex.
Yeah.
Today. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden, like, wasn't even half an hour later, boom, I get a text, boom, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and so Carson's like, yeah, we got one, and like, I wasn't even like a minute later,
Yeah.
I get another text from Brandon saying, we killed one too, and I'm thinking to myself, now they're playing a joke on me. Now they're trying to put pressure on me, and it isn't happening because I can see this is not.
Yep.
There's no way they could kill two birds like that. They got together
Within minutes
and
of
said,
each other,
let's
yeah.
do this to the girls. Let's play a joke and say we both got one. So I'm like, I'm gonna need pictures for verification. And all of a sudden,
You
here
got
come
pictures.
the pictures, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh dude.
boy.
I tell the girls, they've all killed. We're the only ones left. And we're sitting there, nothing is happening, and I'm like, here we're in one of the best spots, and I'm thinking, this is bad. This is really, I'm supposed to be the turkey expert here, and I send you out with the B squad, and the B squad is killed out. I tell that to Carson all the time. He's B squad. But anyways, then I'm like, oh boy, girls, we got the pressure. So we're calling, and finally we get this gobble, and I'm like, oh, at least one heard us.
Yep.
And we work this bird, and he kind of comes, quite a ways in. And then the last time I heard him, he was like leaving. And I'm like, he must have hens or something. So we're just sitting there, a little more time. Now the sun's starting to go down a little further, starting to get a little later
I was
in the day.
losing
I'm like,
hope a little bit.
Yeah.
Little
I'm
bit.
thinking,
We were already talking about the next day, and she was
Yeah.
wondering if you boys would leave her or not.
Which we would
Leave her
have.
to fend for herself since
Yeah.
you guys were
We
tagged
had
out.
Wisconsin tags to burn. So
No, in their defense, they said we would have been like 9 deep behind a tree.
She would have had an
if I-
entourage.
yeah.
They would have been, a lot of
we would have had an
people.
army of people getting you a bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I was thinking we can make a turkey drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We talked about that too. That was an
Yeah.
option.
Yeah, a little European hunt style.
Right, not driving deer. We're going to drive turkeys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were sitting there, and I mean, it's getting later, and every once in a while I would just hit the call, and all of a sudden a bird just fired up. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I knew it was the same bird that we had worked earlier that had kind of walked away.
Sure.
And I just kept on him and kind of got him fired up. And all of a sudden this last gobble was pretty close. And I'm like, girls, let's get ready,
He's coming.
And pretty quick he stepped out, and he was real, like, when he first came into the field, he was real, like, alert, like looking like what's made that noise. And wasn't just like instantly in strut. And then he's seen the decoys, and he started kind of walking towards them, but he still stopped and really kind of like, periscope everything. And I'm like, God, just go into strut and just come on in. And it seems like sometimes the closer they get, the more worked up they get.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he wasn't doing that. He was just taking his sweet time, and he was real leery. And I'm like, is he scared of the Jake or what? And he's kind of skirting out, and I'm like, oh boy, this is not good. I'm thinking they got 2 turkeys, and we're the only ones left. And
We were taking note of that too.
Maggie, you pick it up. What happens? What happens after that?
Yeah. I will say how slow he came in was really neat with the sun, and he just was beautiful. And every once in a while he'd kind of strut, but yeah, he was really wary. And Nicole was my eyes at first. I couldn't see him right when he came in, so she was kind of coaching me through that. And then there was a point where you could just kind of tell. He kind of lost interest, or was like, I'm out of here, and he turned and started working off. And I'm on shooting sticks, ready for him to get to the decoys. And I mean, he's a ways to my right. So when he starts going off, I just hear Pat from behind us, kill him. And I said, okay. So I lift up off of the shooting sticks, and my darn sling from my shotgun is caught on him. So then I had to do some messing around. And I think he saw that a little bit. I just swing over, and
Smoked him.
thank you. I smoked him.
That was an amazing shot. By
Thank
the way.
you. Yeah, freehand, not trying to brag.
Freehand
Free
at that
handed?
distance isn't easy.
I mean,
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
pressure.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Because he was out. And
Yeah.
he
He
was
was
like,
boogieing.
sayonara, I'm gone.
He's gone.
yeah, he just kind of dropped, and I ranged him just because I'm used to them kind of coming into the decoys. I haven't killed a ton of turkeys. I'm getting more into it, but usually they're closer, so I'm like, I'm just curious. I ranged him 53 yards.
Oh,
Was a poke.
Yeah,
It's a poke.
Yeah.
yeah,
TSS baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was really
Testament to
neat,
that,
and
for
I
sure.
mean the dot, like it just made it so much easier. But
Oh yeah,
it
that's a great segue, by the way.
Yeah.
Having that new red dot on there. I mean, that thing is
lights
ultra.
out.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I mean, this is no BS. I mean, it is legit. I never had, that kind of equipment be so functional for turkey hunting. I mean, some people might, I might put one of them on there for my kids. I know everybody that's a serious turkey hunter now, as most of them are all running red dots on the top of their shotguns.
Even Cash at 9 years old, right? From the turkeys he shot before to this year having the red dot on it, he's like, oh, this is like a game changer, Mom.
Yeah.
Like, this is awesome.
Yep,
you
it
know,
is.
like,
It just gives you that much more precision with your shot, where you don't think of a shotgun as a precision instrument, but especially for turkey hunting. But
Yeah.
it gives you that precise aiming point. It gives you a ton of wiggle room when you're shouldering the gun, when you're getting down on it. It gives you it affords you a lot of flexibility there, which
Well, and your point, like on TSS, like when you
Yeah.
shoot TSS up close, like you
Yeah,
know,
the
10
pattern's
yards, you're
tight.
shooting a golf ball, so you
Yeah.
need to be right on them. And then on the flip side, at those like longer distances like that, you actually have a dot that you can put on the head versus like a bead at that distance is going to cover up the whole bird,
and just the target acquisition too. When he was getting out of there, trying to get away from us, so it made it so quick and easy for me to just all I had to do was put that dot right there versus lining stuff up or whatever.
You guys just unveiled that it's called the Viper shotgun enclosed red dot, right?
correct. Yep.
You just unveiled that at the Turkey Federation
WTF show.
Yeah, back in February.
show.
Yeah.
And I know it's been hugely popular. And I first thing I did is I took all my old ones off and I put these new ones on. They're low profile. Yeah, again, when you put it shoulder to that gun, you're right in it right away.
Yeah.
You don't have
Yeah.
to try to find it. And it's a game changer.
Well, to
the
your point,
cool-
like everyone. Oh, go ahead.
The cool thing with that is it's got an integrated base into the dot. So like for years, if you were running a red dot, the first thing you needed to do is throw a pick rail on top of the gun. So you're adding,
Height.
3/8 of an
height.
inch up
Yeah.
on top on something that already has a super low, comb. And now your cheek weld turns into a chin weld, on looking through it versus you take that off. If you put two of them side by side, one with our Defender ST or like the old Crossfire red dot, which
Yep.
a lot of people have used in the past. And then you look at that side by side next to the Viper. The Viper is almost a full inch lower, So, I mean, it
Significant.
sits so low.
Yeah.
So for people that myself included, anyone that ran one of those older style dots, you kind of felt like you were like looking up like this versus like actually down on
Looking
the gun.
down the gun. Yeah.
And
for
from
sure.
just like a natural shooting position, like that's what you're used to, like getting down on it. So
Mm-hmm.
I know that is I think everyone's like most excited trait about it, and just being that the dot's enclosed, like you're crawling through stuff, you're beating stuff up. It's not, you don't have to worry about debris getting into it. Like they're definitely thought out for turkey hunting.
Yeah,
Oh,
pretty
for
cool.
sure.
Pat, to your point, like everyone's running red dots almost nowadays, and before this one came out, one of the big gripes was the height, right? Or people that were hesitant to run dots, it's just because you had to sit up a little bit taller, and this kind of negates all of that feedback. And it's one of those things. Red dots in general, it's one of those things that has caught on now where anybody that has ran a red dot on a turkey gun, I haven't heard them go back.
Yeah.
Right. It's one of those things like, oh, it didn't work for me, I'm going back to a bead. It's, oh my God, I'm never going back. You know?
Yeah.
And you can put this thing on an old shotgun too. It doesn't necessarily need to be some
Yeah.
brand new.
Yeah.
I mean,
as
how
long
old
as
is your
it's-
shotgun?
Yeah, as long as it's drilled and tapped. I mean, my shotgun is from the early 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
And
that's
I
cool.
drilled and
That's
tapped
a
it.
good
Yeah,
one.
my grandpa's gun, and it's my dedicated turkey gun. So I'm like, I want to, deck it out. And
Yeah, you can
Drilled and
take.
tapped it
You don't have to have a
Yeah.
tapped one to put. I mean, you can take it to a gunsmith. And
yeah,
they
it's a
can
pretty
tap
easy
it.
process. Yeah, most gunsmiths should
Yeah.
be able to do it. Yeah.
Couple
And-
$100, $100, $200 max, and I mean you can turn any. I mean, I know a ton of people at Remington 870, super popular shotgun. I know a
Yep.
bunch of people that are running them on 870s, and those don't come drilled and tapped. So they're just taking them into a gunsmith, getting it done, and it works.
Away you go.
And you get different screw lengths. So when you buy it, a bunch of different screws that come in the packaging.
Correct.
With the red dots.
Yeah,
So
it comes with 4 different packages of screws depending on the thread pitch that the gunsmith uses to drill and tap it. So, yeah, you should have everything you need out of the box.
they're sweet.
Yeah.
Good job on that.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's been a fun one.
Yeah, there's so many cool things you guys are coming out with, and I mean, we've been partners for I don't know how many years. Seems
don't
like
either.
quite a while now.
Yeah.
But you guys just keep moving the bar, and it's unbelievable. Like this new product that you guys just came out with, the glass pack system.
Yep.
For
It's got a little
your
turkey blood
binos.
on it.
I know that one's.
I mean, just
That's
broken in. That's good.
authenticity right there.
That must be mine.
If you're just listening or if you're watching, you're going to see me hold this up. But this system is money. I mean,
Yes,
I
it is.
love this new system that you guys come out with. It's it's not just a bino harness. This thing has accessory packs. I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah.
But it's comfortable. It's low profile, soft, and
Not heavy,
you can,
bulky. Yeah.
Right. You can do so much with this, but I mean, these, again, another great product line, and we don't go in the field without it. I mean, I'm shooting my bow now where I never could shoot a bow with this system
With the
on
harness on, yeah.
because I was worried about my string hitting it.
Yep.
But now I'm shooting full draw. It has plenty of clearance. I love this thing. So tell us a little more about it.
Yeah, so the Glass Pack Pro, we came out with accessories this past year for it, and I think really the biggest thing there is the versatility between all of them. Like depending on your hunt style, what you like, what you don't like, you can really customize it to whatever makes sense. So we came out with a couple different pouches, a large and a small pouch. We got the hand muff, which you can see here if you're watching the video. It comes with a rangefinder pouch. It's got a bear spray holster. It's got a gun holster too, if you're doing anything out west or in bear country. So depending on your style and what you like we've got ours rigged up for turkey hunting with some of the small and large pouches. You can put all your accessories, calls, headlamps.
I didn't see a turkey spray pouch. Do you got any turkey spray pouches?
Yeah, we don't want to deter them. We want them to come in.
Yeah.
We don't want to deter them at all. Yeah, right. So yeah, I think the biggest thing with this is you can just figure out what makes sense for your style of hunting and build your system, right?
It's perfect. It really is. And even a sunglass holder. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Because the last thing I want to do is stick my sunglasses in and worry about them scratching against, other stuff in my pocket. So now I'm like,
Yep.
oh, this is genius.
Yep.
Crushing
Good
them,
job.
whatever.
Yeah. So like for that one, that large pouch you're talking about is perfect for sunglasses, and like that's where I keep my headlamps, knife. You can put your tags in the front. Like you can put whatever you need in there, and yeah.
No, you guys killed it on that too. So just a lot of great products for sure in the line, and stuff we use religiously out there in the field. We wouldn't use it unless it worked.
Yep.
That's what we always say, right? Right, Nicole?
I'm awake.
She's just like, I think I got too much yesterday. Too much, not enough sleep in the
Where's that
blind.
Celsius?
I know. I didn't drink one of those today, Eric. So
You
I'm
look
I
like
need
such
one.
an angel over there.
Thanks,
It's that
Maggie.
glow in the back of our studio lighting, I guess, that does
The
that.
lighting in here is on point.
Yeah.
I will say it is awesome.
Hey, this is a new. What do you think about
It's
a little
super
podcast
cool.
area?
Oh,
It
it's
is really
phenomenal.
freaking cool.
Yeah, you guys crushed this.
Yeah.
We're trying to get it set up. It's nothing like what you got going on down at Vortex. I can promise you that, but it's
Well, it's-
coming.
Dang good.
Yeah.
There's a
it's
lot
You
less
guys did
spam
awesome
in
with this.
here.
We're
Yeah.
working
Less
on it.
spam.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what I wanted to say. This is important. I think this is the biggest selling point, in my opinion, to Vortex and the company and just what you guys stand for. I really feel like when I talk to people and they say, oh yeah, we use Vortex optics religiously, love them. And the best thing they always say is your warranty kicks anybody's butt in the business. That's the first thing they bring up. Like if I had something like, my dog chewed up my binoculars, or, I dropped my scope and, cracked it or dented it hard, I just send it back to Vortex and they immediately either fixed it or replaced it and got it right back to me. And they always gloat about just how good of, warranty service that you got. And we've known that by sending stuff back. It's like quickly turn around. You guys kill it. And you want to talk a little bit about your warranty stuff, but that's in this day and age, you think that other optic companies would catch on to, service and being this customer is the, keeping that customer happy is the name of the game, but
Sure.
You guys do a great job.
Yeah. No, we love hearing that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah,
I
I mean, the big thing, you hit on it, Pat.
Yeah.
It's like if something happens, like we've got your back on it. We don't. You're not, and this isn't, us tooting our horns. It's like we want to take care. Everyone's been there with something that you've got, whether it's, hunting related or not. You've had an issue with something in the past where something hasn't, gone right, and like it's always painful when the first question is like, well, what did you do? Blah blah blah. Like you're not going to get that with Vortex. They're just kind of like, hey, we'll help you out.
Yep.
And you hit on a lot of like the retroactive stuff, like, hey, your binos. I was actually talking to a buddy of ours this morning that had his binoculars on the back of his truck, and he backed over them. They slipped off the back of the tailgate, and he backed over them and cracked them. He's got new binoculars already. That was this morning. So like retroactive stuff like that, like we'll always obviously take care of that. But I think the other thing that people don't really hear about a lot is like more of the proactive stuff. So it doesn't need to just be broken product. It can be something that like, hey, it's been a long hunting season. I know my binoculars are in dire need of a cleaning. Like call us, send them in. Like we'll get them cleaned up for you.
That's cool. I didn't know you guys did that.
Yeah, we don't really talk about it a whole lot. And it's something that I think more people should take advantage of.
Absolutely. That's
a
great idea.
You know what your stuff looks like at the end of a long season.
Yes.
It's like
Oh,
give
it's
it a little
dusty,
facelift.
full of debris, and
Yeah, I mean
I'm gonna take advantage of that.
totally. Even down to like another like little known fact of it too is like our range certification program. If you have a rifle scope that isn't holding 0 and you're not able to shoot a tight group with it, and you're kind of wanting to troubleshoot a little bit, you can give our tech support guys a call. They'll work through that with you. They'll ask you a couple questions that you could maybe do on your own, looking at torque specs and stuff like that to kind of dial it in and maybe remedy it. But if you're doing that, or if you just don't even want to mess with that, send it in. We'll mount it on a gun that's similar. Like let's say you're shooting a 300 Win Mag and you're like, I'm adamant this thing, I want this on a 300 Win Mag. We'll put it on a 300 Win Mag and we'll shoot it and verify if the scope is actually functional or not.
because most of the time the scope is fine. It's something else.
I'd say 99% of the time, it's the scope is fine.
There's something else going on causing the issue that they're seeing.
Yeah. Rifle scope, ring torque is like public enemy number 1 to accuracy.
Yep.
And if you're not using a torque wrench and like really dialing that process in, I mean, you think about it. You're putting a precision instrument on top of another precision instrument. Your rifle to your rifle scope. And if that process that holds those two together, the rings and the base and the mount, isn't taken care of correctly, you can't expect 2 precision tools to operate in unison that way. So that's why like that mounting process is so important. And that's something that like we'll help people out with. Like it's not just something we're going to refer you to the user manual and be like, oh, it's 16, 18 inch pounds. Like we'll work through that with you and make people, set up and ready to rock.
Yeah, I was related to if you buy really nice tires, rims for your brand new truck, and I go there and I just kind of either hand tighten them on there, you're probably not going to have a great driving experience because one of those might come off. Or, on the opposite side with rifle scopes, we see the opposite where it's over tightened. So you just got to do things the right way, and a lot of times that'll alleviate any potential issues.
You just mentioned it. When I went and put new rims on my truck at Bauer, where they do all my tires and rims. Yep. They had a actual torque wrench.
Yeah.
That they were torquing each lug nut down, and I thought they just kind of put them on there till they're tight
a little bit.
So they the wrench actually goes under like stress or whatever, go, duh, 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 and then they're like, oh, they're tight. But no, they actually had this torque wrench system, and I'm like, I didn't know you did that. And so
and you probably felt more confident with those, going on.
Yeah, it wasn't just one guy like, oh, I think it's tight.
Yeah,
that ain't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of hunters are in the same boat, right? When they think about like their rifle scope to their rifle, like, not many people own a torque wrench. 95% of people are probably not mounting their own scope.
Using
so
a screwdriver.
Yeah, so I think like just kind of getting that out there a little bit, and like there's a lot of great accessories and tools that'll take care of that for you.
Sure.
And that's a little tiny detail that you don't want to overlook when all of a sudden you're sitting on the backside of a rifle with a huge bucket 150 yards.
And I know we've talked about this quite a bit, but a lot of that comes from just generational and like seeing how your dad did it, how your grandpa did it. And you hear people, I mean, I did it the same way. Whenever, back in the day, you sighted in your gun, whenever you made an adjustment, you were told to tap on it. And that would get the adjustment to sit. And there's a reason behind that is because people use steel rings. They weren't using a torque wrench, so they're actually binding the internals, so you needed to tap on it for it to actually move.
To set it.
Yeah. And so while that worked at the time, it was not the right way to do it at all.
Yeah.
And a lot of people grew up doing that, myself included, until like that educational piece gets out there where that light bulb clicks like, oh yeah, that wasn't the right way.
And even back to, like the service side of things, like choosing the right height for rifle scope rings and, the right kind of mount is something that I would say a lot of people overlook. People think, oh, I bought a rifle, I need rings so I can put a rifle scope on it. No one's really thinking about like, what the difference in ring height is going to do when it comes to like rifle fitment. So that's another thing, back to the service side of things. If people are confused about that or maybe even not thinking about that, give us a call. We will help find the perfect ring for your rifle scope setup, whether it's one that we offer or not. I've heard a ton of guys downstairs point people to like the Burris Signature Z rings for certain rifle setups that they might need. Like we're taking that out of it. We want to make sure that the person on the other side of the gun is actually set up and functional. Yeah. And it's not something that we're going to just like push our product on someone. Yeah. Rifle fitment is super important, and that's kind of what we're here to help with.
Well, customer service is killing it too. Yeah. I mean, it's not just the warranty side of it, but at least you can talk to somebody and not a computer on the line, and they speak English. That's the main thing.
Yeah, well, that's what we strive for. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that's what I wanted to hit on that earlier when you were like, why aren't other companies adopting a warranty like this? I mean, some other companies do have a good warranty. I really think it's the people behind Vortex 100%. And the customer service that comes along with it. You mentioned a dog chewing binos. Yeah, we fix them, but we also throw in a dog toy for your dog. So they chew on that instead of your next pair. Or, you get someone on the phone that just got back from a hunt that, like, the reason they care so much is because they do it too and they want to keep you in the field. Yeah. So, like, I really think that sets Vortex and the warranty and customer service ahead.
Yeah, there was a guy, I think it was, I don't know who exactly it was on the tech support team, but someone called in. They were on a spring bear hunt out in Montana.
Jimmy Jordan, yeah.
I think it was Jimmy Jordan. Yeah, I didn't want to say, but okay, cool. Yeah. Someone called in and they got Jimmy Jordan on our customer care team. And the customer they were on a spring bear hunt out in Montana, and they had like a dope chart in their flip cap, and it like blew away. They didn't have their dope, and they're looking at a bear out there at like 490 yards, and they had cell service, and they're like, so the first thing that they did is they just called Vortex, and they got Jimmy. So this guy's talking to Jimmy, and he's like, hey, I got this black bear at 490 yards. I don't have my dope information. I used, your guys' software to figure this out, but I don't know what it is. Can you help me? So Jimmy figured out what bullet he was using, where he was at, all the questions that you need.
Way.
And he's like, okay, come up, 3.8 mils, whatever it was. Guy goes, okay. Boom. Got him. Kills the bear. Yeah. So I mean, stuff like that is just, you never know what you're gonna get when you're in those guys' role, like from what that next call is gonna be. And I think that's the one that I always tell people about. It's like the coolest story out there.
Yeah, Maggie, you didn't even call yesterday. I mean, you didn't even make the call. You just shot the thing long range.
Yeah. How much did you dial up for that?
Yeah.
I did the easy part.
Top of snood.
That's
Not
Graham.
top ahead.
That's Graham.
Yeah, let's dig into
only.
that. Yeah.
We're like,
Graham, is it Graham bashing time now?
It always is.
Yeah.
Graham, there's a lot of pellets on the underside of this turkey. What's going on? Seems like they're all along the legs. Did you shoot this thing off the limb? He's like, no.
Yeah.
No, actually, it was high.
It was very high. Almost too high.
One BB.
two BB short of being too
I was
high.
like, I don't want to hit the breast. I don't want to wreck any
It's all
meat.
in the
So
spirit of meat preservation.
Yeah, that's right. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Yep.
yeah, I shoot them.
Yeah.
Well,
Like a Christmas story, you'll shoot your eye out.
and we did.
Yeah.
And we did.
Oh, man,
It worked. That's all that matters.
We have had
Exactly.
so much fun. It's been crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to convince you how well the turkey hunting is here in Minnesota and how many birds we got. It's been crazy over the years, about how well this state is produced turkeys. And we see that because, in the old days, there just wasn't any turkeys here. They're just, they didn't have a turkey season. But
I mean, Carson
now
was
you can go all the way to the Canadian border and hunt turkeys. I mean, I never thought the turkeys would live above. They always had a habitat line where they thought turkeys wouldn't live above Minneapolis, St. Paul. Anywhere north was more into lake country, and it was just softwoods or pine forest, and there was no hardwoods. So anywhere there's hardwoods, they figured turkeys could survive because they could eat acorns and they could roost and all this other stuff. And the snow depths are definitely a lot deeper up north, the more severe winters. So, and then they started transplanting them up there, and they've just exploded. The populations are so awesome. So it's really give the Minnesota people and even non-residents an opportunity to hunt and buy over-the-counter tags now. And it's really been a great success story.
Yeah, no, for sure. And to your point, like the numbers are phenomenal up here. I mean, even though we talked about yesterday morning was kind of rough, it wasn't for a lack of birds, right?
heard a lot.
We heard, probably 4 different groups
Easily,
gobbling on the roost.
Yep.
So there was a ton of birds just didn't want to play ball, but I don't think it should be overlooked that, Pat, you had a huge part of the turkey being reintroduced to Minnesota. So you want to talk a little bit about that?
Well, I don't want to date myself, but it's a long time ago when I was in college, it's really a job that I had. While I was in college, I trapped turkeys for the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources, and they had a restoration program going on to reintroduce turkeys back into sustainable habitat in southeastern Minnesota. So I was on one of the trapping crews, and
Let's get that picture up here.
yeah, I'll show you that in a minute. Don't be long.
Okay.
We're trapping them from down in the Iowa border and relocating them up here into our counties. And, the turkeys they did well. And, of course, turkey populations grew. Then they started, allowing hunting, and, it's just expanded to where now you don't even have to apply to get a turkey tag. It used to be coveted.
Sure.
I had like one of the first turkey tags ever in Minnesota. When I shot that turkey, I went to the newspaper, came out. They wanted to get a picture. I didn't even know how to hold the damn turkey. To be honest with you,
how far we've
lady
come.
goes,
Graham
"Hey, you
found
wanna get
that
a-"
out yesterday, too.
Yeah. He's like, Maggie is, she's like, how do you want me to hold this thing? I'm holding it like, I don't know, like I was holding a fish or something. I'm like showing it off at the newspaper office out in the front. People are driving by, stopping, and they're like, is that a turkey? And they just have never seen one.
Yeah.
And it was a big deal.
Oh, I bet.
I mean,
Yeah.
people talked about it forever. And I remember when I went out that first day, I was like calling, I'm like, I don't even know if a gobbler made a gobble or a hen made a gobble. I mean, I just didn't know. There's no education.
foreign, yeah.
You couldn't even find a call anywhere in a store around here because they just didn't sell them.
Right.
I had to go on like online. Well, there was no online then. I had to go into a magazine and find an order form and send in. And I got I think it was a Penswood diaphragm calls is what I got. And I didn't even sound like a turkey. I mean, it was like,
That's about how I sound, yeah.
it was a kooky coo. But yeah, so, when I was in school, just kind of get back to the subject, when I was in college, I learned of a position open out on the trapping crew, and I applied, and when I started trapping turkeys, I was like, man, I cannot believe I'm getting paid to do this. It was like hunting, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the kind of job I need for the rest of my life, where I'm getting paid to do something I really like to do. That taught me that I could do that in my life. And so, yeah, I trapped turkeys all winter and relocated them for a number of years. And yeah, I was part of that. That was really cool. I got to break the whole picture out.
Like by shooting,
what do you think of this?
And you're shooting big boom nets, right? Like is what you guys shot at the turkeys.
Oh yeah, shooting cannons over them.
Yeah.
Big explosives and I wasn't certified, but I was wiring up explosives like dynamite type of explosives and to haul the nets. You would bait them in with corn and cover it up with straw and then disguise the net, and the turkeys would come because in the severe winter they would come and eat on your corn pile, and then you wait for them all to get there, and then you just light them up, and the net would go over them. It was a big net, and then you'd run out there quick and cover them up with blankets, and then you'd process them one by one, and take them out of the net, take their blood, and weigh them, and tag them, put a leg tag on them, and then put them in a box and relocate them, then generally right away or the next day to a new location, let them go.
God,
So it's
that
pretty
is
cool. What do you think of this old picture, huh?
God, look at you.
Awesome.
That is why Nicole married me.
Yeah, right
I did
there.
That's
not know
stallion.
you there. I probably wasn't even alive when that picture was taken.
Why did you have to go there? She probably wasn't, really.
You kind of look
That's
like
what a lot of people are thinking. I'm just gonna go there.
you look like you could be one of Clark Griswold's kids
Yes.
or something. I can't explain
When
it.
I showed this to Eric, he's like, man, I want that coat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds back in
bad.
style, man.
I want the
Isn't that
hat.
crazy?
Vintage.
Yeah, I was.
That
yeah,
hat's
the
cool.
That is a
yeah.
live, that is a completely
Did it try to peck
25-pound gobbler.
Did it try to peck you?
No, I got a firm hold on his feet, and of course I got a bigger hold on his wings, but they won't try to get away if you got them that well. But if you let that wing come out, it'll smack you and it'll like knock you out almost.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't try to peck you though.
I know, right?
Because
No,
you
they
were
don't.
constricted
They're just
everything
kind
else.
they're kind of scared, but yeah, that was a big old gobbler. I remember when I took this photo, I showed it to Rob Keck. Remember Rob Keck? He was ran the Turkey Federation forever. And he's like, that was one of the coolest pictures. And he signed, I got a smaller one
That's
signed.
super cool.
But yeah, I thought I'd break that out for you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's what got me into turkeys, though. Really made me a turkey fanatic is just being a part of the restoration program and, hunting all over the country. I've shot several Grand Slams, both with firearm and with bow and arrow, and I just love turkey hunting. I probably love filming and going out with my kids and other people, like Maggie. But I love sharing in the experience, and that's what the funnest part is just to introduce new people to the sport, allow them to have fun out there doing what I love to do so much, and it's just been a great experience.
Yeah, and I think the coolest part about that too is you talked about introducing new people, and obviously it's the people you hunt with. But I think it's also important to look at, without your restoration efforts, a lot of people in Minnesota wouldn't even have the opportunity. So you created probably more turkey fanatics than you probably even know, which is super cool.
I was just like a blimp of, a part of it.
Yeah.
But the Turkey Federation the National Turkey Federation was real instrumental in making this happen, not just here in Minnesota, but across the country. So if you support them, kudos to you.
Totally.
Because, their funding and just their support has really promoted it. It promoted it here with the Department of Natural Resources to accelerate that restoration efforts. And, that's happened all across the U.S. and into, even into Canada and such. So, if it wasn't for them, I remember my first check came from National Turkey Federation. I got a check. It wasn't from the DNR because they were directly funding in it. And then it started turning it into the Department of Natural Resources, started taking it over, but it really was from the Turkey Federation. So, they're a big player in kind of the success story of the Turkey Federation, or just the wild turkey in general.
Yeah, well, you always hear that the wild turkey is the greatest, conservation success story in America, and I don't think that can be overstated because it truly is.
Yeah,
and you saw it firsthand.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to Carson about that a little bit yesterday, and he mentioned, like, I think even as recent as 10 years ago, you still had to, like, apply and you'd maybe draw a tag here in Minnesota. And now, you know, fast forward 10 years to today, you got people coming across state lines buying an over-the-counter tag, being able to have these experiences and do these things, you know.
Right.
And that's all stuff that wouldn't have been possible without all of that, you know, so many years ago, those reintroduction efforts.
Well, you got to think about this if you're, you know, this is what non-hunters and people that don't support hunting don't understand, that the conservation efforts are funded by the sportsmen, and it accelerates and helps out the species and the wildlife in general and the economy. I mean, just think how much revenue is generated from people that come here to participate in hunting across the boards. And, you know, it fuels the economy, but it also helps perpetuate the species and just helps build populations that are, you know, sustainable. They're managed by hunting efforts. You know, there's so much misinformation out there. We're not ego freaks out there on some sort of, you know, trophy trails trip that,
Right.
you know, feeds our ego. This is
Right.
something that we love to do. We enjoy sharing it with friends and family, and we consume we're having wild turkey here in just a couple hours.
Yeah.
This is gonna be fun. This is gonna be awesome because we're gonna fry up
Full
some
circle.
turkey and some
Yeah.
totally wild.
Yeah.
But I mean, you know, we survive on our kids all eat venison and all the stuff that if we shoot something, we eat it.
Yep.
Even I told Cashin the other day, I go, hey, he trapped a pocket gopher. I said, we're going to have to skin that. He looked at me. I said, are you serious? I'm like, no,
Yeah.
we're not going to eat the pocket gopher. But
I mean, you
But
hit
the message is there, yeah.
You hit the nail on the head, though. Like, there is not another group of hunters out there that's more passionate about, you know, whatever their, like, subset is than turkey hunters, I think. I mean, you go to the NWTF show. I mean, it's our biggest consumer-facing show. 82,000 people came through the door this year. That's
awesome,
more than came to the Western Hunt Expo in Salt Lake. So when you think about that, I mean, it's really crazy. Like, it's a cult following of people that, like, if you really love it, like, you're into it. And, you know, I think people want to protect that and make sure that, like, this lifestyle that's kind of generated around this bird, you know, is here to stay for a long time.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, NWTF and all those other organizations are at the tip of the spear, and without them, I mean, they're advocating and lobbying for turkey hunters every day.
100%. Nicole and I just came back from Florida attending an event. It was the IOTR event, International Order of Teddy Roosevelt, and that's a conservation group that supports hunters and conservation. What their mission is to really go after all the states that don't have the right to hunt constitutionally.
Sure.
And believe it or not, there's 28, how many, Nicole?
25 states left, I think, is what they have.
25 states in the
do not
U.S.
have the constitutional right to hunt and fish.
Believe it or not. Can you believe that?
I
So
can believe that 100%.
what that means is if the antis wanted to go after this and say, I want to shut down hunting or shut down fishing, they would, if they went after a state that didn't have that constitutional right in their constitution, they could possibly propose legislation to shut that down.
Yeah.
And some of the states would shock you. Like Iowa is one of them that
Yeah.
currently does not have constitutional right to hunt and fish. Maine, fishing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, Maine
Maine
is
is
a big
fishing,
hunting
right? Like,
state.
you know,
Yeah, no
and
kidding.
hunting, right? So
Look at what went on in Colorado a year ago. You know,
Correct.
with like it's ballot
that's on
box
the ballot.
biology.
It's coming.
They're
It's
going
coming.
after
They're in
Colorado.
other states.
So
they just got it passed in Florida this past year. So
Yeah. So Florida didn't have it. They spent all their time, money, and resource, and it was a lot, to get it on the ballot of this past November. And there was a lot of important things on that ballot.
Oh, yeah.
Besides that, but they pushed it. They identified. They keyed in on non-voters and even some non-hunters or non-sportsmen, and educated them, and they passed that bill by, I think, 65%. It was awesome. So
And I think one thing that they mentioned, though, and you know, it seems like it's kind of a duh thing for us outdoorsmen and women, but like it's like they said, meeting these people on their level, right? The people that don't believe in hunting and fishing, or they believe in hunting and fishing, but they don't go out and vote. What did
Right.
they say? 1 out of your 6 friends, or no, 1 out of your 6 friends goes and votes. So that means
Yeah.
5 out of your 6 friends does not go and vote.
Yeah.
So I mean, can you imagine that? Like and especially when it comes to when this was on the ballot, it was an amendment on the ballot, right?
Yeah.
And so they're like, vote yes on 2, and that's really what they were just trying to meet people where they were, right? Like
Yeah.
do you believe in outdoor? You believe in fishing, or and just the lifestyle of being able to have the opportunity to go and hunt and fish, and that kind of thing. And they had a great turnout, but that's kind of where it's amazing to think that many people support it, but yet they don't,
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
absolutely.
even think just having them understand the question too, because
Right.
a lot of times
That's-
how those questions are worded are very
Absolutely.
misleading.
Yeah.
And they might think that they're doing a good thing by checking yes or checking no, depending on the question. But it's like, no, here's what they're actually trying to do.
correct.
And as
It's
as
not-
important
yeah.
as the question is, like the subject, like the thing, the hunting, like what that is equally as important, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't need to hunt, but at least if you understand like why people are, doing this,
Right.
you're a little bit more supportive of it,
Well, we
So-
get a lot of that, right? Like, oh, you kill an ant, a deer or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And like my first comment is, do you eat meat? Okay, so if you do eat meat, you go to the grocery store and probably buy meat, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like, and that's kind of like meeting them on their level,
Yep.
Yep.
That's just how we harvest our meat. We
I hate
don't
to
go to the
tell them,
grocery
but their
store. We go to the
ancestors,
woods.
right? Everybody's ancestor was a hunter and a gatherer at one point.
Right.
If they look back far enough, I mean, that's just the reality of it. And if they weren't, they were dead. I mean, they didn't go. There's no grocery store.
That's called natural selection.
Right. Hot dogs weren't made that easy. So
Yep.
and there was no
There's not a-
McDonald's.
Not a hot dog tree out there. We've looked, couldn't find it.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Hot dog trees. Yeah.
There's another thing I wanted to ask you guys while you're here, because it's kind of a hot topic out there. A lot of people, are talking about this, and it's also like I want to get your opinion on the ethics of long range shooting, because you're an optic company, right?
Yeah.
You build scopes to go on weapons like this, and like, how far is too far? And I mean, we generally are shooting a limited distance. Because of video, more or less. We're just trying to get the animal closer. But some of these guys are reaching out there close to upwards to 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
And, when is it ethically, like, where's the balance? Like, is it, where do you support it? I mean, tell me your opinion on that.
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a very hot topic, like you mentioned. And, while we do have a lot of really high power, high magnification scopes, right, designed for long range shooting, right, a lot of times that's designed for long range shooting at a range, shooting steel targets or whatever it might be. So when it comes specifically to long range hunting, right, long range can mean a lot of different things to different people.
True.
Yeah.
Right? Like growing up hunting in Wisconsin, 200 yards was long range,
Yeah.
right? That was a long shot. But now you hear about people going out west where you have the opportunity to shoot 400, 500, 600 yards.
Yeah.
And I think it really comes down
And the
to
weapons have gotten that much better, too.
yeah.
I mean, not
Absolutely.
just the optics, but
Yep.
you know,
Absolutely.
everything becomes harder at those distances. It becomes less forgiving. So it's understanding your setup and what you're capable of, right? And it's understanding what you need to put down that animal ethically, right? So that's always where we're going to stand. Like if your bullet, your setup is capable of taking down an animal ethically at that distance, it comes down to energy,
Well,
right?
and it's all up to the person behind the gun at the end of the day. You can't buy your way into shooting something at 800 yards.
Yeah.
You could go out there and buy the baddest new rifle, put the baddest new scope on it, but if you don't put in any time behind it, I'll take the guy with the $500 rifle and the $300 scope that understands what he's doing over that guy, 7 days a week.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where like ethics is something that is just so like it's personal based to that person, right? Like I've killed a couple whitetails past 60 with a bow, and I feel totally fine shooting them at 60 yards. But like the industry might say 40 is the max that you should shoot a whitetail at. But I spend 7 days a week every day shooting my bow at 80, 90, 100 yards. So when one steps out at 62, I feel like I'm shooting a target at 35 yards.
That's a great analogy. I never even thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like, before the old days, it's like 20, 30 yards maximum. And now people are efficiently taking animals up to 100 yards and doing it not with, just with confidence, but they're also very accurate at those ranges, with the new sight systems and just the way these bows perform. But the same with firearms. I mean, that was a great I thought you answered that perfectly. I think it's kind of up to the individual. I mean, some guys, our opinion has always been, and it don't matter if we're having this conversation on long range shooting or we're talking about crossbows versus, compounds, in our, or high fence, non-high fence type of thing, all this conflict or just all these different things that are hot topics in the business. It's kind of like, hey, if it gets you out of field and you're enjoying the sport of hunting, I'm all for it. I don't really matter to me what really makes you tick, what you really like to do. It's just, if you're proficient at it and you feel confident that, you're not just taking a risky shot, no matter if it's 20 yards or if it's at 1,000, you can, take that animal ethically and cleanly. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, and on the flip side, like there are on the ethics side of things, there's things like minimum velocity thresholds, which like your bullet isn't going to perform at.
Oh, sure.
So there is like an actual number out there.
That's what I was going to touch on. Yeah.
That's where like stuff like a product we hardly ever talk about and should talk about more is our geoballistic software. So Vortex, in the last year, well, gosh, it's been longer than that
2 years now,
acquired geoballistics. So we have geoballistics built into like our Razor rangefinder, our Impact rail-mounted laser rangefinder, and more stuff coming down the pipeline. That's going to be a lineup that'll continue to evolve and have more products that are supported by geoballistics. And you can just download the app for $15. One-time purchase, you've got it for forever. But anyways, that software, you can run minimum threshold or minimum velocity thresholds, where if you are someone that's like, hey, I'm super confident out to 1,000 yards, but my load is doing this, it might say, hey, for that bullet to actually expand and perform, 763 yards is the max ethical limit that you can push it. So for these guys that are super fanatical and like really dialed in, you actually can figure out what your ethical limit is.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge thing. Is accuracy is only one part of the equation there.
Yep.
Right, you can be as accurate as you want to be out to 1,000, 1,200 yards, whatever it might be. But if that bullet is not performing and you don't have the energy, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, that is like a shameless plug for geoballistics, and it's something that if you are someone, like if someone's listening to this and you're really kind of nerding out on the long range game and kind of figuring out like where you can kind of take it and go from there, looking at some sort of like ballistic solver is something that's going to help you a ton and just help you get more enjoyment and kind of nerd out on like the nitty gritty details behind this stuff.
I don't even think it's nerding out. I mean, take Nicole and I, for example, we're not one of them nerdy type of Pete long range shooters. We just don't simply have the time. But what it's done is, being able to use that technology in that kind of sense, it's helped gain our confidence at that longer range shooting where we wouldn't normally feel very confident or know we can make those long range shots. Yeah. Now it's kind of, we're still not shooting, over 600 yards. I mean, we're in that 300 yard category and feel confident at 300. But I mean, past 500, then we just don't have the technique down to be able to, execute great shots. I mean, I'll be the first one to admit. It's just, and plus we're not really trying to do that anyways because
I was just going to
for
say,
film.
let's be honest.
Yeah, totally.
My husband's all about film.
Yeah.
And the animal looks like a little speck on the camera whenever it's that.
Well,
so
we
he
can
wants
enlarge
to be
that
as
now with
close as
4K.
possible.
Yeah.
So we push the envelope on all.
Oh,
and
yeah, totally.
And I have the most epic story, and Nicole's going to kill me for telling you this, but I'll make this quick. But like, she come from Southern Illinois, where it's shotgun only down there, and she's an
I
archer.
never shot anything over maybe 60 yards.
She probably knows the story I'm going to tell, but we're still in the romance period of our life.
It was our first fall hunting together. First time he'd ever put a rifle in my hand.
She loved me at that point till this day, and I take her out to Mike Watkins' Trophies Plus Outfitters, and we're on our first antelope hunt. She'd never shot an antelope, so I'm like, cool. And he had a lot of antelope out there. He lives right in the corner of Montana, Wyoming, and South Dakota, right in that little triangle area. So we're after these antelope, and we crawl in to, I don't know how far it was.
I don't know.
Probably
it was the furthest I'd ever shot.
300-ish, somewhere in there. we crawl up to this group, and there's a really nice buck in that group. And finally, he clears, and Nicole shoots, and nothing happens. We're like, shoot again. And she shoots again.
And nobody's telling me like high, low, nothing.
Yeah.
We just, it's so far, we aren't really spotting the bullet. I'm filming. And it starts running. She's shooting.
Pretty much what it was.
She's shooting, empties the gun, and the thing runs off. And she's like, oh, I'm just not used to this. So we, Mike's like, no problem. Nicole, don't worry about it. We'll find another one. So we go find another one. She shoots at that one, and we miss that one. And we're like, oh boy. And now she's a little disgruntled. So
a little.
we finally, like, it's getting towards the end of the day. We're still looking, get her first antelope. We crawl up to this knoll, and we peek over, and there's this giant, just really nice buck down there. All by himself, don't have to worry about any clearance issues.
You got all the time in the day.
Feeding, and we're set up on above him on this little ridge, and we're watching him. He's at a couple 100 yards, maybe 250, and so she's all nestled in and solid, laying down in prone position and ready to, get this. And so he finally gets broadside, and he just stopped feeding, and she touches it off, and
nothing.
Nothing again. No. And I'm like,
I finally just go.
Is she shooting blanks out of that gun or what?
I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, she shoots again and again, and finally it's like running away, and Mike is even frustrated at this point, and I'm like,
I'm done.
I'm like,
I am done. Like, this is.
Oh,
then it's messing with you mentally too.
Yes.
I'm like, you're wasting my time. Oh, here.
And your ammo.
Yeah.
This is when the relationship starts to get a little curve and bend in it. And it gets worse. So when she's done, she just stands up. She goes, I am done.
I just leave the gun there, and I'm like, I'm done.
I pick up the gun.
He picks it up.
I pick up the gun, and the camera's still on the antelope, and the antelope stopped at the very top of the hill on the opposing ridge. He's like 550, 600. I take the gun, dial in the turrets, boom, one shot, drop him. That's when she had enough. She's like not happy.
Oh
no, I'll tell you what. That's when we figured out he and I cannot shoot the same rifle. Still to this day, he and I cannot shoot the same rifle. His rifle is on at 100. Mine's way off. If I shoot it,
I think she's making that excuse. Yeah.
Now be on my side here on this one.
Sounds like you should have shot the rifle, not me. To
right.
Sight it
I
in.
was just going to say. Here's another thing. I didn't shoot the rifle to sight it in or anything. He sighted it in, and out we go.
Yeah.
Well, we
west.
just don't have rifles, so we hadn't really done a lot of rifle shooting. We go out there on this rifle
at that time, right?
Yeah.
Like just.
Oh, I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
That night, I think I
frustrated.
slept on the couch for no apparent reason.
Did you ever figure out?
Well, you didn't have
night
to
of
rub it
many.
in like that. Jeepers.
We learned at that point. We actually learned after that. Hey, you shoot the rifle differently than I do. So now
We'd have to take two on every hunt we go on.
Seriously.
I tell Ray Fat Browning, I go, hey, I need 2, 6.5 PRCs. He's like, 2? Oh, he knows now. He's like, yeah, 1 for Nicole, 1 for Pat.
Yeah.
So we have to get 2 of everything because, now you get my order. Now I order 2 scopes of everything. It's times 2.
Incident.
But it is nice to then. It's like her gun and is dialed to how she holds it, and
that's that rifle fitment thing we were talking about. Like I think about myself like on the archery side. I'm so like nitpicky over my bow and whatever. And Ryan, our buddy that we work with, gets on me for this all the time. Like I was going on an Alaska bear hunt last June, and I got the gun sighted in like a couple weeks before, and he's like, "Why aren't you doing what you're doing with your bow with this gun? Like why are you running this and that?" Like kind of got on me a little bit, and he really went into that fitment thing. And I mean, if the gun doesn't fit you, you can't expect it. I mean, just with your guys' bows, like you wouldn't just pick up a bow and like throw a D-loop on it and just eyeball a peep sight and be like, okay, let's go. And a lot of people think they can get away with that on the rifle side because it's like they think it's a one size fits all. It's really not.
Yeah, and it's a great analogy because you go into so much stuff setting up your bow, your arrow setup, what broadhead you're using. You're using inserts, how many fletchings. And people think you just pick up a rifle and point it, put your reticle on, and pull the trigger. But you're working on your grip, you're working on your anchor points, and you practice that consistently. And people don't put in that work with rifle shooting as
We-
much. It's not a thing,
And
but
we-
they should.
Yeah, we actually have again, shameless plug here, but we actually have a series on this stuff on our Vortex Edge YouTube channel right now that's dropping every Tuesday. That's basically dedicated to like all things long range.
That's a great idea.
I mean, it starts
Yeah.
literally with like safety, but it goes all the way to like shooting out to 1,000 yards. And you can watch that video series on YouTube, and it'll take you through basically everything that you would get if you would take a Vortex Edge class in person, like our long range 1 class. You can get all the takeaways just on YouTube. So, if you're someone that has access to a range, but maybe you don't want to travel across the country to Vortex, you can take the learnings that you might get and kind of implement it.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
When we came down, last year you guys had the producer summit down there, and we got to tour the factory and go over and tour the Edge facility. Amazing. We were like, we walked out of there, our jaws hit the floor. I mean, it was like, we did not understand how big Vortex
how
was and
extensive,
just what you guys do besides building optics. I mean, it is
The
honestly
classes, I mean it's unbelievable. All the
just
classes
your
that you
range
guys offer.
systems. Everything you have at the facility is like unbelievable. And we got to partake in a long range shooting class that, it's the classes
Totally.
like you were talking
Yeah.
about, and learn from instructors that are honestly,
They must have watched my antelope hunt.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say it, but
Nicole got a lot of one-on-one attention.
well, Nicole, I need you to come over here on a private lesson. And
You should come back.
Right.
Yeah.
someday we're going to get her that antelope.
Oh my God.
Funny.
No, I will say, I think my first month or so working at Vortex, I signed up for one of those courses. It was a pistol course, and they are incredible. I learned so much, and I went in with like no experience,
Yeah.
so no really bad habits or anything, and those guys just taught me exactly how to do things the correct way. I went out and bought my own pistol that weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I bought another one
I was
since.
going to
so now I
say,
have
now
two.
you got.
I saw your shooting ability yesterday, and I mean, if that's where you learned it from, I need to take that course too.
No, but
Because that was insane.
they are incredible, and they you leave feeling so confident and just knowledgeable.
Yeah.
So as great as the videos are, if you can come for an in-person
my
course,
gosh.
it's the facility and the
100%.
instructors. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And the coolest part that you just mentioned is that you can find a lot of this stuff online
Yeah.
through Vortex. So
Yeah.
people can go to your site and find out, all the different kinds of tutorials and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, in the last couple of years, we've started really, we do a weekly newsletter, and I really do think like the newsletter, when you sign up for the Vortex one, it's different than like the newsletter that you might sign up for with any other brand. Like, we're going to send you a weekly tangible thing every week that's something,
To make you better.
Yeah, it's not all going to be long range shooting, all hunting, whatever. It's like a smattering of all the things, but there's a lot of value packed into those things. So.
That's a really good kind of segue out of this, is just what you guys do at the volume is insane. We've always appreciated the support and the partnership, and just the quality of the optics and the gear that you guys make. We appreciate that. Of course, obviously appreciate the friendship even more. So
Absolutely, 100%.
Right, it's all about the people. That's
Yeah.
what we said.
It-
I think that's the best thing, is working with people who we love and who love our sport like we do, right? And respect our sport. And
Yeah,
that's,
totally.
It totally was a game changer,
Yeah.
like he said, us coming down to your headquarters. And I've never been to never been to another place where everybody's so happy.
Yeah.
The mood
To
is
work there.
upbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, we walk out of there so refreshed. Like
Yeah.
Pat and I were like just the
That's so cool.
atmosphere was incredible.
awesome to hear.
So,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
being able to be part of a company like that's pretty special.
Yeah.
and you
definitely.
treat us as partners
Right,
that
right.
same way,
Yeah.
and you get more back out of people that feel like you're part of it. You're
And you
proud
want to support an
represent something.
organization, and you want to support a company that is so passionate behind the scenes. And I
Yeah.
think that's what Vortex has done a great job, though, too, is showing you guys are really passionate, not only
Mm-hmm.
just about hunting, but conservation and the products and just everything that goes into it, right? You're not
Yeah.
just people showing up to work an 8 to 5 job.
Sure,
Right? You guys
exactly.
love what you do, and you love what
You-
it stands for.
Yeah, and you
absolutely,
built a
absolutely.
culture. I can't tell you how many times I've been on airplanes or been in places far away from home, and I'll see somebody with a Vortex
Yes,
hat on
yeah.
or a shirt.
Or he'll be wearing one,
and I'll be wearing
vice
one,
versa,
and
yeah.
instantly we're
Connected.
connected,
that's
and I'm
so
like,
cool.
hey, you're a brother of mine because
Yeah.
you're in the right hat.
Yeah.
I like you, buddy.
We start talking about hunting or shooting,
Yep.
and we instantly have that connection, and I'm like,
That's cool.
that is
Yeah.
what you guys have created. Kudos to you guys and everybody at Vortex, for being that kind of leader in the business. Keep it up. We're proud to represent. So thanks for coming up this week and doing a little turkey
Thank you
hunt.
guys
Yeah,
for having
Mags?
us. Seriously,
It's
thank
been,
you.
I will
Appreciate
never
it.
forget this week. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's
One
been
for the books, that is
Yeah.
for sure.
That's right. Pat went from 0 to hero.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Worst turkey guide to an okay turkey guide.
From roost busters to beak busters all in one
There
day.
you go.
we came in blazing last night at the end. The
Yeah.
seventh, we came in the ninth inning at the end, the 7th hour. We come rolling in, playing Pink Pony Club.
Yeah. Yep.
Cue
I
the
wouldn't
footage.
have changed
Yeah.
a thing. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have changed
No.
a thing.
Oh, that's
What a
awesome.
great memory.
Yeah, it was
Thank
great,
you guys.
guys.
Appreciate
Thank you.
y'all.
Thank you.
you.
Appreciate
Yeah.
you guys.
All right. Well, we're out for this one, and can't wait to have you guys back next year.
Yeah, it's
Heck
gonna be
yeah.
fun next
Thank
year.
you. Let's have some turkey nuggies.
Yeah, let's go. Time to eat.